Have you ever picked up a book that wasn't just, a story, but felt more like a journey across centuries, cultures, right into the heart of human connection?
Hmm.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that kind of book. Elif Shafak's The 40 Rules of Love.
A fascinating choice.
It really is. And it's not just a novel, is it? It's this rich, thought-provoking blend of contemporary fiction, Sufi mysticism, and history. We pulled together some great source material on it for you.
Yeah,
And our mission today really is to unpack the insights, maybe some surprising facts from this book. We want to show you why people find it so transformative.
exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We'll look at what makes it such a highly rated read, its unique structure, the themes, its impact.
Right.
By the end, you'll hopefully understand why it gets called like a guide for the soul. Its ideas feel universal, applicable now just as much as centuries ago.
Okay, so let's dive in. What makes this book grab you right away? For me, it's got to be the structure. Shafak does something really interesting with the narrative.
The dual narrative.
Exactly, that dual narrative technique. So you've got Ella Rubinstein's story,
Hmm.
right, set in 2008, modern-day housewife Massachusetts, going through this big personal awakening.
Hmm.
And then woven through that, you jump back to the 13th century, a historical fiction bit about the poet Rumi and his friendship with this wandering dervish, Shams of Tabriz.
Yeah, Shams, this kind of radical spiritual figure.
Right.
And Shafak uses this brilliantly, doesn't she, to show how timeless the messages about love and spiritual growth really are.
Hmm.
The modern story and the ancient one, they just mirror each other constantly, offering these universal insights. And the way she writes it.
Oh, the prose.
Yeah, the prose, it's lyrical, it's poetic. It feels less like reading a novel and more like, well, a spiritual experience in itself.
Definitely agree.
She uses symbolism, metaphor, this sort of gentle repetition sometimes. It creates this almost meditative feel for you as you read.
Yeah, meditative is a great word for it. I found it really immersive. But I wonder, does that poetic style, does it maybe slow things down for some readers? Or feel a bit abstract sometimes?
That's a fair point. It might. It's definitely not a typical thriller pace.
And the format adds to that feeling too, right? The chapters are short, sometimes told from different viewpoints, like little parables.
Mini parables, exactly.
And the 40 rules themselves, they're not just listed out, they're woven in, like these little philosophical nuggets.
Like provocations, almost.
Yeah, like do not go with the flow, be the flow. That's not just a saying. It pushes the characters and you, the reader, towards, active living.
Absolutely. It shows the struggle of trying to live that way. It's not presented as easy.
Okay, so beyond that clever structure, the themes, this is where it gets really deep, I think. Let's start with how it looks at love. It's not the usual take, is it?
No, definitely not. Shafak isn't really romanticizing love in the way we often see. The love here is more divine, selfless. It's something that elevates the soul, connects you to God or the divine, however you want to term it.
Right.
Through Shams especially, you learn about love less as desire and more as this powerful spiritual force, a current almost.
A current, I like that. And speaking of force, transformation is huge in this book.
Oh, absolutely. Both Rumi and Ella go through these incredibly profound changes. Rumi, the scholar, becomes the mystic poet we know, and Ella, the kind of passive housewife, becomes this self-aware woman making active choices.
And Shafak shows that struggle, right? Like Rumi resisting Shams at first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It highlights how real change often needs that external catalyst, but ultimately it has to come from confronting yourself. It's not just change starts within. It's about the messy, sometimes painful process of unlearning things.
That unlearning.
Yeah.
That really resonates. And it connects to another theme, that tension between, say, personal faith and organized religion.
Yes, it does. Shams constantly challenges the institutional side of religion.
He does.
He's all about personal inner spirituality. He questions rituals, dogmas, suggests that love itself is the most direct path to God.
Which is quite radical.
Very.
Well-
But it's presented not as rejecting faith, but maybe understanding it more deeply, more inclusively.
Yeah, that makes sense. And running through all of this is courage. A lot of courage is needed.
Definitely. The book really pushes the idea of breaking free from what society expects, listening to your own inner voice.
Yeah.
You see it so clearly in Ella's choices.
Which are quite radical for her life.
Absolutely. And in Shams' teachings, which were incredibly rebellious for his time, it's about the courage to be authentic, even if it turns your world upside down.
So let's talk about the people who embody these themes. Who are the key players making this story tick?
Okay, well, in the modern thread, you've got Ella Rubinstein. Very relatable, starts off quite subdued, but her growth is really the emotional core, I think. Then there's Shams of Tabriz. He's probably the most compelling character for many. Mysterious, wise, definitely radical. He's the one delivering most of those 40 rules.
The spiritual guide.
Yeah, for Rumi, and kind of for Ella, too, through the manuscript. And then Rumi himself starts as this respected scholar, but love transforms him into the poet. His journey reflects anyone searching for deeper meaning, really.
Right.
And we should also mention Aziz Zahara, the author of the manuscript Ella reads. He kind of represents that modern Sufi voice.
And those historical characters, sometimes they feel a bit like archetypes, don't they? Representing envy or ego or surrender.
They can, yes. But I think that serves a purpose. It makes them reflections of these larger ideas, which actually makes the themes stand out more clearly. It works, even if they aren't deeply complex individuals in every case.
Okay, so we've got the structure, the themes, the characters. But what's the big takeaway? What makes this book hit so hard for so many people? Is it just the history or something else?
That's a good question, I think. I think the most powerful thing is how it delivers really deep spiritual ideas in a way that's just so accessible. It's not preachy, it's not dense.
Right.
It's an engaging story, but it invites you very directly to think about your own life, your faith, your purpose. And for a lot of people, it's a great introduction to Rumi and Sufism without feeling intimidated. It demystifies it, makes it human.
So it inspires that personal reflection.
Exactly. Personal growth, emotional awareness. It fosters that in a really organic way through the story.
Now, even great books people love, sometimes have aspects that don't quite land for everyone. Were there any criticisms, even minor ones, that came up in the reviews?
Sure, for balance, it's worth mentioning a few things. Some readers felt the historical characters, maybe Shams and Rumi's circle, were a little simplified, not quite as nuanced as historical figures could be.
Okay.
And the rules themselves, while profound, some found them a bit repetitive at times, or maybe too abstract if you prefer very concrete storytelling.
I can see that.
There's also the point about Ella's transformation. For some, it felt perhaps a bit sudden, maybe slightly unrealistic given where she starts.
Right, a very rapid shift.
Yeah. And finally, if you're not really leaning towards spirituality in the first place, you might find some parts a little didactic or preachy, perhaps.
But overall, minor points compared to the impact.
Generally, yes. I think for most readers, the emotional and philosophical weight far outweighs those potential criticism.
It really feels like a book that bridges gaps, doesn't it? East and West, past and present.
It absolutely does. That's a huge part of its significance. It connects cultures, time periods, and even bridges that gap between formal religion and personal spirituality.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful way for non-Muslim readers especially to connect with the beauty of Islamic mysticism, Sufism, without any dogma or fear. It's very open, very human.
And the language itself contributes so much to that feeling. Maybe we can share a couple of those quotes that really capture its essence.
Good idea.
Okay, here's one. Every true love and friendship is a story of unexpected transformation.
Hits home, doesn't it?
It really does. That sense of change coming from connection. And how about, do not go with the flow. Be the flow.
Powerful. Simple, but really makes you think. Active versus passive.
Exactly. And one more. This one feels very central. The path to the truth is a labor of the heart, not of the head.
That really sums up the Sufi perspective presented in the book, I think. It prioritizes that inner knowing, that intuition.
So wrapping things up, The 40 Rules of Love is more than just a novel.
Much more. It really is, as we said earlier, like a guide for the soul.
It invites you, the person listening, to question things, maybe embrace the unknown a bit more, live with more love, more authenticity.
Yeah.
It feels like a book you read, you think about, and you probably come back to, especially if you're in a place of doubt or just searching for something deeper.
Definitely. And that leaves us with a final thought for you, really. If the book is right, if every true love and friendship is a story of unexpected transformation, well, what transformations might you be open to? What could happen if you just embrace a new perspective or even a challenging idea that makes you look at things differently?